Good morning everyone, today we're going to be looking at the new M5 Pro MacBook Pro and we will be testing Wuthering waves on it. The reason for this is because I simply can't find that many videos of people testing Wuthering waves on the Mac, because there is a native Mac version that is already available. Now I did download OBS over here, so you can see that I do have the screen capture software going, and I'm just going to launch Wuthering waves right now without the screen capture or without OBS running first, and you can see right here there is the FPS counter on the top right corner. Now I do have the nano texture display going on because if you look over here I have a giant window, and so yes, I don't like all that glare, so having the nano texture definitely helps quite a bit. But nevertheless, as you can see here, we are currently loading. Oh, we need to download some textures and patches and stuff like that. I do believe Hayuki is actually coming out pretty soon, so I am pretty excited for that. Anyway, let us launch the game. We should be good now. It's actually pretty funny. It launches really fast on the Mac because of how powerful this M5 Pro chip is. It actually launches the game faster than my full-on desktop over here. You can see the compiling shaders is already done. Usually the shaders actually takes me a while on my desktop over here. It takes me about like a minute or two, and that was done in what, like 10 seconds? So pretty impressive stuff. Nevertheless, I will leave the metal thing over here so that you can see the FPS. As you can see, we are currently in game right now. Everything is on high. We're at 109 FPS. Let me just show you my settings right here. We can see on my graphic settings, it is on laggy apparently, but the only thing I changed to make it custom was actually just change the FPS. So first of all, I'll show you the resolution. It is native 4K resolution. We do have Metal FX on. Frame rate by default is 60, and I just turned it to 120 since the screen actually supports 120 Hertz. I do have VSync on because of how fast this CPU is. It actually doesn't really matter. And then we have all of these other settings on high. I did turn LOD bias on low. I mean, we can turn it back to high if you want. I don't want to put on ultra high. We did turn off motion blur. I don't like motion blur at all. Crowd density here. We've got everything pretty much all turned on and on high. Render distance is on default. I know you can't put on far, but I prefer it on default. Anyway, with all of that on high, you can still see we are at 109 FPS when nothing is going on. We have the beautiful Changli over here. However, let's see how much FPS we get in combat. So, as usual, I am still farming and repairing for Hayuki, so I do need a lot of these materials, the layering wing whatevers, so let us farm that. Again, you just want to pay attention to the top right corner here on the FPS. We're at like 80 FPS right now. Let's start. 90 FPS, 80 FPS. You know, everything still is pretty good. I don't think the FPS ever goes below 60, which is absolutely amazing in my personal opinion, because my old computer, which was a MacBook Pro M1 or M1 Pro, had a lot of issues with this game. I couldn't play this game on native, basically, which was a little bit unfortunate. But now with this native resolution at 4K, goddamn is it beautiful. As you can see, we are still at 80 FPS-ish. We do the ultimate. We do get some FPS drops when we use the Changli ultimate, actually. Let me just show you. You're gonna see the Changli ultimate now, and look. So FPS does dip to the low 60s when I do the Changli ultimate. But it's only the Changli ultimate for whatever reason. Alright, now that we have our OBS open over here, we're gonna start recording, and we're gonna jump into Wuwa. So now you're gonna see my Wuwa in-game right now with OBS screen recording in 4K as well. Everything is done. However, we need to stress test the machine, so we're actually gonna head over here to the Tacit Discord Nest, because there's always a ton of stuff going on over here, tons of enemies. Keep in mind, I am on battery, like nothing is plugged in over here. And yeah, here we go. We're at 120 FPS right now because nothing's going on. Let us spawn all the enemies, and I'm just gonna show you the entire fight while we're on battery and screen recording. All you need to do is just pay attention to the top right corner for the FPS. Oh, there was a dip there for a second. Keep in mind that I am losing a bit of frames because of OBS, of course, with the screen recording and everything going on. However, you know, it's still doing very, very well. Surprisingly well. With screen recording on, everything going on, we're still above like 80 FPS. Alright, here's the FPS drop. Yep, we dropped to 57 FPS over there, but still pretty good. I think that's pretty much the only time we dip below 60 is when Changli does our ultimate. Okay. Please don't judge my playstyle, or I'm just bad at the game, but I don't care. There we go. Boom. But as you can see, performance is absolutely amazing. Of course, if you want, like, you know, consistent maybe 80 FPS, 100 FPS, you could always turn down the settings, as my settings are on everything on high right now. So you could always turn down the details a little bit. You don't need to have everything maxed out, especially at 4K resolution, you know. It is very, very stressful on the GPU side. But yeah, you can see with all this stuff going on right now, like the lowest we dipped was like 50, I think, right there earlier. But it goes right back up very, very quickly. A bunch of particle effects going on. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, here's the big FPS killer. 51 FPS. And then immediately back up to 70 something. And nope, there's still a couple more enemies left. There you are. But yeah, you can see against like regular enemies, you're looking at like 90 something FPS easily, pretty consistently. Now the fans do kick up. I can definitely hear my fans going off right now on my MacBook Pro. It's not like super loud, but it's audible. So if that's something that really bothers you, you could, I don't know, lower the settings, I guess. I'm sure if you lowered it to like 1080p, the fans would probably not even spin up. I'm also not on high powered mode. I'm using balance mode because I'm just assuming that the majority of players are just going to use balance mode, as high powered mode does make the fans ramp up really loud. You know, a little bit too loud for my liking. Okay, hello. I'm getting bullied by this bird. We'll just finish it off with the ultimate, you know, why not? Elimination. And there we go. Alright, let's stop the recording. So the verdict is Wuthering Waves is fully playable on the M5 Pro, MacBook Pro, especially the 16-inch. Now I don't know if the 14-inch will behave a little bit differently because of its smaller size and thus maybe heating constraints or overheating constraints, but the 16-inch works perfectly fine. It does get pretty hot to the touch, like around this area, but you know, you're not really going to be touching this area, so you'll be fine. But it does get pretty hot here. Now, if you have any questions regarding Wuthering Waves on the MacBook Pro, let me know in the comment section below and I'll try my best to answer them. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!